Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com, with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic AT. For today's episode, I'm all on my own. In this regular video series, I round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, me? It's the Full Force Weekly. Good morning and welcome, and I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic AT, as I just mentioned in the intro just a second ago. Unfortunately, I am on my own. A bit of a last-minute situation. Unfortunately, Pat was called away to work, so unfortunately, it's just me. Sorry, guys. But we've got lots to talk about this week. Lots and lots to get stuck into. It's a shame Pat isn't on, because, you know, we've got some higher news to go through, fresh as well, because I didn't actually do a news burst yesterday about it, for obvious reasons. I mean, you know, I'm going to be talking about it today in depth. There's no point doing it twice necessarily. Who's Al on my own? I like that one, SV, F and G. That's a good one. Anyway, yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Lots of you in the comments already. Hope everyone is having a good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you in the world, wherever you're watching. That's true. I'm not technically alone, Pastor Pierogi. I have all of you in the comments, so that's great. Yeah, we've got comics news. We've got classified news. We've got all sorts of stuff to get higher. We've got loads of stuff to get stuck into. So let's start off with a little bit of the comics news. Now, we kind of have a couple of things to talk about this week, but obviously the main one is that the A Real American Hero compendium covers have been revealed by SKYBOUND, who of course are doing a Kickstarter for a very special compendium set of the original, well, everything in the original run of Marvel A Real American Hero comics, including the tie-ins and the spin-offs and all that kind of stuff. So as far as like we were kind of waiting on, you know, what these covers would look like, and effectively this is what we got. So G.I. Joe, the version, the G.I. Joe kind of faux leather cover that's going to be coming with the Compendium 1 is a blue number with snake eyes on it, and the Cobra version is red with Cobra Commander on it. So I don't know, I quite like these. I think they're quite nice, but at the same time, a lot of people were saying, why is G.I. Joe blue? Shouldn't that be Cobra? And I get what you're saying on that one. I think basically when you're talking about, you know, I think kind of blue and green probably doesn't really make, you know, because that's what I would probably associate with G.I. Joe as green, kind of get the OG 13 sort of vibe going. Or they could have done some sort of like all sexy black number for Snake Eyes, which they kind of sort of have done, because I mean blue is black in comics land, isn't it? But yeah, I can kind of understand why they went with this color scheme, red being the danger kind of color and all that kind of stuff. You can kind of associate it with Cobra as well, the crimson kind of aspect as well of Cobra. And with G.I. Joe, the blue does feel like a heroic color, doesn't it? Like that, it's always been like the trope, hasn't it, of kind of like good versus evil. That's kind of what blue versus red seems to kind of like insinuate a little bit. Not in every single scenario, of course, but that is what we kind of, I feel like we've been, I don't know, like conditioned to understand. Then that's true, actually, Pastor Pierogi, red lasers, blue lasers. And that's another thing. I think Joe had red lasers in the cartoon, and blue lasers were Cobra, I believe. I think that's correct, actually. So it's interesting that they're switching that again. Like, there's so many things about it where you kind of, you get contradictory feelings about the color scheme, but then I think this is probably the right way to go with it. Again, if they'd have done it like green for Joe and blue for Cobra, I think that could have worked, but you don't get that jarring difference that you do with red and blue. Green and red might have worked, but again, I think it's just a nice, basic, simple red blue sort of scenario, isn't it? Anyway, yes, another good point there. Blame Star Wars for the old lightsabers. Yeah, Jedi blue, Sith red. Thank you, Ryan. they switched the lasers between Sunbow and Deke series. Thank you, Figure Six Pack. I actually just watched a couple of episodes of the Deke series. I'm not going to reveal why, but I watched those. And I don't recall what the lasers were, but you're probably right. That's awesome. Past Priest should have gone Eco Warriors color, neon green and blaze orange. That would have been amazing, wouldn't it? And also, I would imagine, obviously being Compendium 1, that there'll be more compendiums, maybe in different colors. Maybe they'll do them, like maybe we'll cover the gamut of color for each one. But we'll see. I also imagine them. I also could see them doing all blue for Joe and all red for Cobra. Anyway, I think they're nice, and of course, these are just renders. So I'm sure, like when we actually get this giant thing in hand, it's going to be quite hefty. It's going to be faux leather. I'm hoping it's got that kind of like squidginess to it. You know how some covers have that kind of a little bit of squidginess, a little puffed up squidginess. That's going to be on a t-shirt, isn't it? That I'd like them to kind of have that sort of feel and vibe. But yeah, so yeah, they're the covers, quite nice. I don't have an image lined up for this one, but I managed to read the Free Comic Book Day Energon Universe issue, which was, I've got to say, absolutely awesome. And did anyone else get an opportunity to check that out? Because I am absolutely loving the current Skybound universe, like more than any comics I've ever loved. It's so crazy. Like I feel like they're absolutely smashing it out of the park with some of these kind of stories and issues, and the artwork's amazing. It's just really, really cool. And the I'll just pop that on there. And you can actually go and sign up today to get the Storm and Shadow trading card when you back it as well, by the way. So if you go to our link in the description, you can sign up to get like information first about it, basically. There's also a Kickstarter link that's open now, but it's not, you can't pledge or anything yet. It's not ready yet. I believe that's the 28th of May. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the Free Comic Book Day issue was so good. Like it has a little Transformers bit at the beginning, obviously, but that Transformers bit is tied in to G.I. Joe very, very tightly, and there's so many epic scenes in it. Like, oh my goodness, and some really good like new elements added to, because if you've read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but there's just this really amazing like extra things added to the universe of this particular subset of GI Joe. I don't want to say any more other than that, but it's incredible. So yeah, that's really awesome. And then on top of that, we have a little segment like Void Rivals bit where you've got kind of Transformers and kind of Skuxoid and like a little kind of story going on there. Quite almost like just a bit of a connecting bit of information more than anything else. But then the GI Joe section is brilliant, and kind of what I think a lot of people expected when they first saw the early covers that were revealed for the upcoming first, the first kind of like reveal that Skybound were actually doing anything. We got some really interesting covers, and one of those particular spoilers, or not spoilers, one of those particular kind of aspects to the cover sort of happens in this little story, and it's really, really cool. We got some new characters introduced as well. In this universe, I mean, not like characters that are new to GI Joe, as in already established characters brought into this new universe in a really cool and interesting way. Lot of subterfuge still going on, a lot of kind of like underhand tactics happening. So yeah, it's almost carrying on very, very smoothly from kind of Duke's kind of end to that miniseries. So yeah, really, really cool. If you haven't read it, you can actually get it now as the Energon Universe 2024 special, which is I mean, I got it on Amazon. You can get it like straight away and read it. Or yeah, you can wait for for kind of like compendiums or trades or what have you, which I know the Dan Stars one is. So yeah, no spoilers on this one today, but really enjoyed that free comic book day issue, and I hope everyone managed to get to kind of go to a comic store. We didn't, because we had the folks round from Missouri, which was really cool. Had a lovely weekend with them. We'll talk about that in the shout outs. But yeah, I hope you did get to do a free comic book day situation. And I also give a excuse me, give a massive shout out to Andrew Franks, who lent me his free comic book, Energon Universe free comic book from FCBD on Monday, which I kind of absolutely rinsed. It was so good. Anyway, so another little funny thing that happened recently. I was on my way home yesterday, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to pop into Target for a bit of funsies, just to see if there's anything in, there might not be. I never find anything, ever. Yet, lo and behold, the first thing I bump into in the toy aisle was Mutt and Junkyard. So I was like, yay! So I found those, and I was like, that's cool. And then I kind of I was looking around a little bit. What was interesting, actually, the Mutt and Junkyards, there were 4 of them. The first one at the front, I picked it up and oh, brilliant. And there was a huge kind of slicing, like a razor blade slice, where someone had clearly opened a box with a box cutter and had just taken like a huge chunk of this box out. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe not that one. Went to the second one that had a cut in it in the same place. I'm like, oh no. So I thought, I'm not totally, I don't need the best box in the universe most of the time, Kitty said. So I was about to just go, okay, I'll just take one of those, but then ended up finding a really nice one behind that. So there were 4 of them. 3 of them had significant razor blade issues, and this one didn't, thankfully. That's absolutely perfect. So I was very happy to grab Mutton Junkyard. Happy indeed. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm gonna have a proper look around, because sometimes there's a little clearance side section. There's a little there's all sorts of little kind of hidden spots. Maybe someone's kind of had a look at one, walked around a bit, and put it somewhere else, right? So I was looking for Python Trouble Bubbles, and possibly Trooper officers. I don't know what they are. Troficers, the second version of the Troficer. And so I kind of went on a little journey around the whole place. Couldn't find anything anywhere. So I thought, well, there's the kind of adult collectibles section, not that kind of adult collectibles, but I thought, well, I'll go over there and have a look. And as I'm walking down the aisle, right there in front of me, friggin' however long, walking through the electronics section, I can see it looking right back at me. It was Metalhead looking right back at me. And I was like, no way. So the only one that was there, just hanging out, I'm not sure if it was even in the right place, but I just went, yeah, okay, I'll have you as well. So I walked out with 2 figures that I've been holding out for, not for better price or anything, but just because I didn't want to kind of fall into that the pre-order thing we're not doing anymore, because it's just insane. So I kind of just want to find them as and when I'm out and about, and it's the first time that's happened in so long. So brilliant. And a few people are saying 36.5 says, I'm lucky enough to live where there are a ton of comic and collectible shops. Yeah, we do have a few. There's one right near work that I really that we pop into quite often. But then there is the kind of and I don't blame them for this, because obviously they have to have some sort of markup to make any sort of profit on stuff. I get it, but they're usually a little bit pricier. But we do have a couple of stores in not the local area, but we've got some stuff. There's a GameStop near us as well, Chris G, so I might check that out this weekend as well. I might go for a cheeky hunt in GameStop as well. Anyway, so yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys, because I got real lucky yesterday, and I haven't felt that sort of feeling for a long time, because usually it's just pre-orders, or it's very recently people have been sending me stuff, which is great. But when it comes to, which is I very much appreciate, but when it comes to actually finding something, going out and actually finding it, it's another thing going into a store that is very specialized to that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And again, where you've got huge amounts of like classified figures or what have you. That's one thing. Um, and again, there's a few of those around, but then again, they don't have a lot of the newer stuff that I'm looking for. And then obviously the next level, you're looking in your Walmarts, which just doesn't seem to have anything at the moment. Doesn't even have space for GI Joe figures, um, which I did pop into very recently. I will admit, I popped into a Walmart very recently, and just kind of like left thinking, "There's a reason I don't go in here." It just looked like it looked like Pripyat. It looked like that Call of Duty map for the Chernobyl one. It just felt like everything is just trashed all over the place. And I know it's different in certain. You go to different Walmarts, you'll get different experiences, and same with all stores. But I just went in there. I was like, yeah, there's a reason I don't come here anymore. It's just absolutely just awful. So wasn't a fan of that. And obviously no Joes, so that didn't help the situation. No Joe. And yeah, and then obviously GameStop is a good one though, because they are putting stuff in, and like they have newer stuff, and it's like not like uh, you know kind of price wise, they're sometimes like on the level, they're a bit cheaper. So I will definitely be checking out GameStop very soon. um Sorry, I've missed loads of comments. Phrasing indeed, Pastor Pierogi. I can't remember what I said, but I'm sure I did. Yeah, I didn't. Kitty said it, did I? Um, I thought the Transformers part of the free comic book day special was far less than the other two stories, and I kept hearing that's what it's like for the real books as well. I wouldn't say that, Robert H. Because technically you had Transformers, which was actually a really good lead into what was going on with certain characters. Then you had Void Rivals, which had a huge like the main focus of that particular story was Transformers related. And then you had the GI Joe section, which was just GI Joe kind of on its own sort of thing. So you kind of have with Void Rivals and Transformers almost like a double whammy. And then with GI Joe, they show up in the Transformers one a bit, and then so I wouldn't say that it's really like that. The Transformers um like comics are all about Transformers. Like there's hardly any deviation in there at the moment currently, and it's really really good. The Transformers Energon Universe comic. Um, my comic book store burned down, but they're still operating in a different locale at the moment. That sucks, Pastor Pierogi. That's really sad though that it burned down. Good morning, Toy Bounty Hunter. Chris G, I got Torpedo yesterday at GameStop. I love hunting in wild. Yes, that's awesome. Torpedo's a great figure. I'm still kind of keeping an eye out for some like Action Soldier, Action Sailor. Definitely want to kind of keep my eye out for those. Nah, Walmart is an awful experience everywhere. Okay, good. Toy Bounty Hunter says the Walmart closest to me redid their toy aisles, and the Joe and Motu sections are completely gone. Same with me, actually. I haven't seen anything. Pastor Progress says I've actually been liking Transformers the most, and it's the connecting thread for all the titles. Absolutely, that I agree. It's really really good comic, the Transformers one. And Al Vega says, Chris, just chiming in now, but do we sign up for this today? You can. If you go to the link in the description, we've got a few links in the description. One of the links is to basically, it'll say under the Skybound section of the links, it will say sign up. Click on that link, and that will take you to this page where you can put your email address in and then get like notified when this goes live. And obviously get all the information. But also by doing so, if you sign up that way, go through Kickstarter when it comes up and order a physical copy, you will get that Storm Shadow trading card if you back a physical copy. So yeah, that's pretty much all the info I think we have currently at the moment, and all of those links are in there. You can even see the Kickstarter link that takes you to the kind of like holding page or the landing page. Zartan, thank you so much for the super chat. Very kind of you. It's weird. Zartan's supposed to be a bad guy, but so far he's just been giving us lots of amazing super chats. So thank you very much, Zartan. You're very kind for an evil freelancer. Having two versions of this omnibus seems like cruel extensive enterprise dealings. Why not split it into part one Joe cover and part two Zartan cover? First of all, hilarious. Second of all, I get what you're saying on this one. I think they're just giving people the option. And obviously there's that element in there, isn't there, of people will want both. They won't just, and I'm sure that will be an option in the campaign pledges. I'm sure it will be like, get one of each or get, that kind of thing. So yeah, I get what you're saying. And I think Zartan, you'll probably end up on a cover of one of these compendiums at some point, I would imagine. Anyway, thank you very much, Zartan. It's very kind of you. I feel like you may have a conflict of interest there, says the 36 Cypher. Yes, I feel like Zartan does have a conflict of interest there. So William says, yeah, Will Robbie. Hi, Will. He says they missed a trick. The Joe cover should have been olive drab green and the Cobra cover blue. Yeah, we did talk about that at the beginning, but I was kind of thinking when you look at the color difference, it's not as stark. Whereas the blue versus red is the kind of like almost like the acceptable hero villain sort of vibe. So I understand why they've done it, but I do kind of agree with you. Well, if they were going in a more like, more like kind of like traditional with the actual series kind of vibe, then yeah, I would have been totally cool with some sort of green versus Cobra blue kind of thing. I think that would make a lot of sense. Luke Poulon, I got to go, but everyone is worried about how tall Nemesis Enforcer will be. But a real pro knows that it's the girth size that really matters. Nice one, Luke. But yeah, I will get to that a little bit in a little while, but I don't think it's going to be that bad or that ridiculous. Toy Bounty Hunter. On a positive note, for the first time in about 38 years, my childhood Tomahawk has a mint condition lift ticket and he has his mic. Yay! That's awesome. Niximus Prime says, does this stop at the end of the Marvel run or does it go all the way through the IDW stuff? Niximus Prime, it is a Marvel, a Real American Hero, as far as we know, only at this stage. But that could, that's just going to be the 4 compendiums worth of Marvel, a Real American Hero, and the tie-ins and the crossovers and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to have in those 4 compendiums that we know of, you're going to have the 155 issues of the run. You're going to have the 28 issues of special missions. You're going to have yearbooks, Order of Battle, and I forget. There's another one I always forget, isn't there, guys? Yearbook, Order of Battle, and something else, and I always forget what it is. But then there's also the Transformers crossover as well is going to go in there too. So you're going to get all of these kind of elements kind of incorporated into the 4 compendiums. And then, who knows, maybe they'll do another compendium after that of IDW, a Real American Hero. Maybe they'll do that. But for the time being, this is all about the Marvel, a Real American Hero stuff, the vintage kind of, vibes. Talking Joe, Mark says 4 initial compendiums will cover Marvel era, but Skybound have said their ambition is to print everything. Thank you very much. No, I said special missions, Mark. I said 28 issues specifically of special missions. That was the second thing I said. But there's yearbooks, Order of Battle, and there's something else that there's like another little one that I always forget, and people usually kind of put it in the comments. Or maybe I have covered it all. Maybe yearbooks was the one I was forgetting last time. But yeah. There was something else. There was one other issue. I think there's a one-off that was going in there. But anyway, in any case, that is that for the comic side of things. Yeah, there were 3D comics past the Progy, but I'm not sure if they're included. I didn't see them in the write-up in the press release. That isn't to say they won't be in there. At 50 plus issues per book, I'm a tiny bit concerned for gutter loss. I can see that concern, 36 Cypher. If you what I will say is we interviewed, this is sort of related but not. So I was interviewed Brian Hickey recently about the what do you call it? About the battle Action Force reprints that they're doing. And when he showed us a kind of like mock-up of the size of book that it's going to be and what it's going to do in terms of like the gutter, it was amazingly like it opened so far, and it was almost like negligible. The kind of like, I call it the cleavage. It was almost negligible. So that was really cool to hear that that's going to be present in the very thick and massive, Kitty said, Battle Action Force reprint. So maybe they're going to find a way to do it, well, do it in a way that, the gutter isn't as depthy, as it were, or kind of like whatever the description is that you're referring to on that one. McFarlane special, is that what they said in the press release? I can't remember, Mark. TF versus Joe, yeah, I know that. Hang on, European missions, is that going in there? Oh yeah, 3D and how to draw books for Blackthorn. That's a good point. Thank you. Will they include the UK covers? I didn't know European missions was included. You're just listing everything Marvel. Okay, yeah. I think in the press release, I'll get the press release up because that would be easier. Because at least then we can go, this is exactly what's going to be in there. And I don't give out the wrong information. Excuse me. Sorry. I don't know. I've got some sort of like blooming annoying voice thing at the moment. It's not a sore throat, but it's like, it wasn't specifically, I thought it was specifically said. Hang on, let me get the press release up. They listed the things, I'm sure they did, unless they said like, and much more. But I recall that's where I got most of the information from. I'll find, here we go. Here it is. Yeah, so it says, yeah, this is it. It's these collections include every issue of the original 1982 series G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero, G.I. Joe Special Missions, G.I. Joe and the Transformers, and the long out of print G.I. Joe Order of Battle and G.I. Joe Special Number 1 across 4 stunning compendiums with box art by the incomparable Andy Kubert and Brad Anderson. So they do specify in that the regular series, Special Missions, G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, G.I. Joe Order of Battle, and Special Number 1. They didn't actually mention the yearbooks, but I think people were telling me they were going to be in there, but there's nowhere that it says anything about the yearbooks. So I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think I was saying yearbooks because people were telling me in the comments that was included, but it doesn't say in that press release specifically that. But who knows? Who knows? I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna get European missions in there. I really don't think they will. So yeah, that's what they're saying in the press release. That's exactly what you're going to get in those compendiums. G.I. Joe Special Number 1. I don't even remember what's in that. I don't recall what that's about. Marvel UK had the best cover art. Agreed, RKW, including that issue 2 of Weekly. Oh, phenomenal. Anyway, we've been doing this for half an hour. How have I managed that? It's worse when I'm on my own. Genuinely, I just drag stuff on for hours. Anyway, next up, we've got some, well, it's earnings news. Yeah, we'll get through this because it's just, boring earnings stuff. So Hasbro have posted their Q1 earnings for 2024, including highlighting a 24% decline in revenue based on last year's numbers. Now, the Toy Book posted an article and basically kind of like made it very easy for everyone to understand. So thank you very much for doing that. And in that article, which I believe, I just want to double check with that particular article on the Toy Book, because I want to credit where credit's due, of course. If I can find it. My goodness, today is not an easy way of finding things. Yeah, it was, I think it was it James that did it? Yeah, James Zahn. So shout out to James Zahn, who kind of wrote this article. But basically, he explained that the first quarter earnings is the word I was looking for. Season continues with Hasbro checking in with financials for the start of 2024. While the company beat Wall Street estimates on profit and margin, revenue slid 24% versus Q1 last year amid a massive 21% decline in its consumer products segment, which includes toys and games. Again, I'm not surprised at the moment that this is happening. Now, they're obviously attributing the decline to the offloading of its E1 film and TV business and continued inventory cleanup that sent closeout product en masse to the likes of Ollie's, Ross, Dress for Less, TJ Maxx, Burlington, and other outlets last year. So that, again, I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised that there's been a fairly significant decrease in earnings. I mean, I'd have been I'd have been blown away if they'd have been, back on it again, because they have gone almost from, like an entertainment, or at least aiming to be an entertainment company, and they are trying to like turn that massive tanker around, and it's not easy. And I think a lot of people in higher positions at Hasbro are finding that it's not just as easy as doing what they have been doing. For that, you sort of have to innovate a little bit at this level, even though a lot of the time it's really more like steal innovation from below and use it for your own kind of devices sort of thing. That's usually how it works, because they're in a position to pay for it. They're in a position to coax that innovation from elsewhere, but that doesn't even seem to have been happening either. And now, of course, we're moving into a more kind of games digital sort of like environment that they're trying to kind of get a grasp on. So you wonder how long it will be, because I think this is a good point to kind of make, right? When you're moving, like changing the direction of a company, which is what they are kind of saying out loud that they're doing, it's going to take a long time to get into a position where you want it and you're successful and you're trawling it in whatever. But the environment keeps changing around them, and if you don't like stay with that change, or at least direct those changes with what you're doing, then you can just completely end up all over the place. So, and then then you're kind of having to come back and do something else, and you kind of have to. That's a good point, actually, Ray. Innovate or meet the customer's needs at the bare minimum. I mean, I think Toys R Us was a big loss, actually, for not just for us, but for companies like Hasbro and Mattel. It was a massive, massive loss for the kind of toy retail kind of environment. And I still am depressed at the fact that the vulture capitalists basically destroyed Toys R Us. I think that's going to be one of the things that is always going to upset me, and I'll never forget, because I've got a Jeffrey the giraffe kind of like siding hanging on the wall over there, so he's looking at me as I'm talking about it, going, "Yeah, don't you ever forget, mate." but yeah, so I think there's obviously that thing of, if you can't just, and it's not one of those things where it's not easy, especially with like toys, to just be like, here's a trend, let's jump on that, because it's like as soon as you get onto that trend, you've got to develop and create and manufacture, and then finally, after I don't know, they've kind of minimized it to about 9 months now, but that's pushing it. You're talking about a year, give or take, aren't you? And then by the time that they've kind of got into that space, people have moved on and they're into something else. So it's like, I feel like you have to be so many steps ahead at this level, and I don't think they have necessarily been there with a lot of the stuff that they're doing. But yeah. Anyway, cheers. So that's that particular segment. Then Chris Cox, the CEO, who probably divides opinions. Oh, probably doesn't, actually. I don't think he's got the strongest popularity percentage within the fandom, shall we say, at the moment. And to be fair, they have made some odd decisions, haven't they, under Chris Cox's kind of like leadership. I think the kind of like, was it the Dungeons and Dragons issue, that kind of scandalous kind of like thing where they tried to effectively change how the structure of it, of everything kind of works, and it just got a little bit, there was like that thing of like the huge backlash, and then the kind of like the course correction from Hasbro, which at least they went back on it. At least they said, okay, hands up, our bad. But even then, I was like, that wasn't a good move. There have been other kind of like, obviously the I would say short-sighted aspect of just cutting people left, right, and center for just to kind of like balance the books almost. He's almost criminal at this stage. But they can get away with it. That's the sad thing about it. These kind of huge layoffs and stuff like that. They've almost and I don't know. It can't be a fun environment, can it, to be a part of when you've got this like the sword of Damocles hanging over you the whole time. Like imagine. I couldn't imagine it being a comfortable like environment. Like the pressure must be quite high. Then you've got the fandom like kicking off at you every 5 seconds because you're like, you're maybe like on the brand team or what have you. Seeing all these like terrible comments about like an individual that got nothing to do with the business side of Hasbro. So I kind of feel like it's one of those things where you have to kind of take into perspective. It's got to be really difficult to be in a position like that and not be in like a high sort of executive position, because even then, like, are you always guaranteed to be there forever? Probably not. um anyway, so he says the first quarter was a good start to the year for Hasbro. We are continuing to see the results of our transformation work. Performance from our licensing portfolio shows the strength of our brands, and we continue to fuel innovation in games and toys as we expand our reach across play patterns to fans of all ages. It does feel a little bit just like word soup. And also, like, the fact that he's trying to put a very positive spin, which of course you would try to do in this situation. You're going to try to put the positive aspects on and not focus on the negative aspects. But the first quarter was a good start to the year. I mean, it might be from again, like the perspective that would be would be drawn on would be that we expected this. This was the expectation. Here is our like our projections, and then how does it fit those projections? But then um but then you got to say kind of like there's still been a massive decline from last year. Massive. Did they expect even more of a decline? Because that's what they're saying. But we don't obviously see their projections. That's internal. That's for them to kind of like, bring up when these things happen. It's almost like one of those things where I'm not even sure they do make those kind of projections. I keep doing that. Sorry, those projections. I don't think they necessarily make those public at any point, like, because that's like an internal kind of process. Like, I don't know why that would be out there. I don't know. So maybe I feel like, I don't know. This just feels like they're trying to put a positive spin on what is a very kind of bit of a negative kind of return. And if you go into next year and it's still the same kind of drop off, then does it even go that long before they have to start looking for another CEO? It's really, I don't know what the situation is with that. Like, who decides all of that stuff? I guess there's a board, so I imagine they would probably have to make some decisions on leadership, direction, all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, lots of lots of lots of stuff. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, so there's a lot of comments at the moment. I'm sorry I'm missing them all, but I know that, yeah, there's a lot of I don't know. I don't like the fact that Emily gets a lot of crap either. I think it's really kind of off, especially when she's almost getting blamed for things that aren't even her job as well. Like, and the same goes for everyone on the brand team. Like, they expect that just because you're in that brand team and you're in the face of the company, and that's really all it is. It's because they've been pushed out to effectively like be lambs to slaughter, haven't they? Um, anyway, so with this Chris Cox comment, I kind of feel like this is really just him putting a positive spin on it. Is effectively what's happened here. Um, I would say that if they don't get like a massive improvement going into like the Q1 2025, God, we're almost there though. If they don't get if there isn't a positive return, then they're gonna have to do something really, because you can't have that kind of drop off constantly. Otherwise, your shareholders get concerned and worried, and then you have to really put some positive spin on things. Anyway, Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming saw revenue grow 7%, while entertainment driven by Peppa Pig saw a 65% spike absent the 85% hit from the E1 sale. Interesting. Interesting. Obviously, digital gaming is they've done well with recently, so it's good that they're probably going into that, that kind of direction. Um, uh, if a year on year is driven by a one-off change, then you'd expect that to mean there wouldn't be the same the following year. You hope so, yeah. And I think you would expect that, yeah. Um, anyway, yeah, cool. Okay, so that's another little element in the article. Now, Gina Getter, I think, or Gator, Hasbro Chief Financial Officer. We landed revenue where we expected and drove significant operating profit improvement, led by our operational excellence program and improved business mix. We remain on track for our full year commitments. That is just word soup. I'm sorry. That is just buzzwords. I even if you do speak that language, it probably is it just doesn't really mean anything. It's just a lot of words together that makes it sound like, okay, things are improving, things are developing, things are like it doesn't actually mean anything really. That all she's really saying in that is that their revenue landed where they expected it. And then but previously Chris Cox was saying it was better. So, they're throwing this stuff around and it doesn't necessarily really mean anything, that one. Looking ahead, Hasbro expects consumer products revenue for the year to decline 7 to 12%. At least, well, there you go. At least they're kind of there's a projection that's out in the open. So they expect consumer products revenue for the year to decline 7 to 12%. But that is obviously less of a drop off than the 24% they've had in revenue beforehand. So that would be an improvement. Wizards of the Coast revenue to dip 3 to 5%, and pro forma entertainment revenue to decline by 15 million amid the greater turnaround and reinvention of the business. That all makes sense, but it's a lot. We're talking about a lot of money and a lot of drop off there. But again, that would be a much better decline going into next year. In Q1, the company says that the relaunched Furby brand can continue to perform well, alongside 41% growth in Peppa Pig, Hasbro Gaming 6%, Magic the Gathering 4%, and Dungeons and Dragons 3%. Okay, that's good to know. And then, oh yeah, this is the last bit, I think. This year, the fruits of Hasbro's licensing efforts should start to pay off. For those playing along at home, Littlest Pet Shop relaunched via Basic Fun in January to a solid response from retailers and consumers. Just Play is rolling out refreshed lines for Easy Bake and Furreal Friends, and the Play School portfolio lives with Play Monster. This week, Hasbro revealed a licensing deal with Playmates Toys, under which Playmates will take over production of Power Rangers toys, starting with a kid-focused line in 2025. And there we have it. Past Progress says, does that mean my wallet will increase 7%? Is that how it works? No. Your wallet is decreasing at twice the rate of their revenue decline, and probably close to double the 15 million loss in entertainment. Anyway, yeah, so in terms of licensing, I think that is where, we've been seeing a lot of Hasbro kind of outsourcing a lot of stuff. Super 7 O-Ring, Power Rangers now with Playmates. They're doing a lot, like you see their brands everywhere on all sorts of stuff. So they're definitely ramping up their licensing, like, to a massive degree. You've obviously got, the comics. You've got, what else have we got? Well, can you even count movies in that? I suppose you can, but I mean, the Transformers GI Joe crossover movie in development is got to have some, that has a connectivity to everything. So yeah, yeah. So I'm not. I'm also not here sitting here trying to put a positive spin on that. I'm looking through a lot of this and going, they're just putting a positive spin on it, and that's what they always do, and that's what we'll always see with these kind of things. You'll never really see anything unless they're making absolute shed loads over what they did last year. You're not really going to see a lot of this other than them being really like happy and talking about um using the same word soup, but in a way that it doesn't matter that it doesn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll still get the word soup, but it doesn't matter that it's word soup because they're doing what they intended to do or want to do or doing better than they intended to. In these situations, the word soup is used to confuse, to misdirect, and to make people feel a bit more confident about everything. And I suppose it is a little bit better that they're aiming for, as well. Obviously, they should be aiming for less of a decline going into next year. So hopefully that does happen, and they can, and hopefully the direction does go in a way that makes sense to keep us getting amazing GI Joe classified figures. That's all. I say that's all I care about, but I also don't want loads of layoffs at these companies just for the sake of it. Anyway, yeah, so that is Hasbro's earnings. I probably talked more on that than I actually intended to, but that is the full force for you. Next up, we have a little bit of kind of not breaking news because it happened like yesterday, like probably 2 days ago now at this rate. But yeah, we've got some Hiya Toys news. Here we go. We're into the meat now of the. That's not a pun, because there was supposed to be a bit of meat that came with Crocmaster on his meat hook. But anyway, yeah, Crocmaster has been revealed. The upcoming exquisite mini 4-inch figure by Hiya Toys, which is set for a Q1 2025 release and will be at a ever so slightly higher price point of $34.99 because of course, this is a figure and animal companion set, very much in the mold of classified here. Of course, is what they've kind of been doing. They've been doing classified in 4-inch basically, and this isn't. I don't know. I quite like this one. I think this is an absolute beauty. So let's get stuck into it. Lots of beautiful promo images as well by Hiya Toys, as they always do, and we've got a very cool looking Fiona at 4-inch as well. So highly articulated at that 4-inch scale. Well, articulated more than you'd expect for a 4-inch figure. I don't even remember what kind of articulation the 25th one had. It was somewhat articulated, wasn't it? I can't remember because I never opened those figures. I have them, I have them, just never bothered to open them. Yo, Joe. I just want to double check what kind of articulation was going on that figure. Well, the mouth articulated, didn't it? Did it anything else happen? I think it was just the mouth. Yeah, it was. Or maybe the legs. Maybe there's a little articulation in the legs. Can anyone confirm that? I can't remember. And also, the images aren't telling me what I want to know. No, it was just the mouth. Anyway, so yeah, we've got a much better, I would say, articulated 4-inch figure here. And yeah, tail wise, I don't know what the vibe is on that one because I don't think it goes into a lot of detail on the post, does it? Let me have a look. Let me read out what it says, in fact. Crocmaster is Cobra's reptile trainer, a former alligator wrestler with a pet alligator named Fiona, breeds alligators in large numbers on Cobra Island, intentionally training them to be hostile and rabid alligators ready to attack at any time. This brand new Crocmaster action figure stands at 110 millimeters in height, 4 inches, based on the original appearance of the G.I. Joe, a green alligator skin shirt with a perfectly integrated alligator eye belt and striking Cobra logo on chest are all perfectly matched with the figure. That's nice. Wearing a tight-fitting black hood and silver-coloured breathing mask allow Crocmaster to come and go freely in underwater combat. In terms of accessories, Crocmaster and Fiona comes with revolver, whip, hook, knife, spike collar, attached to chain, and more, with fine details even in the 1/18th scale, with 19 joints utilising a design supporting extensive articulation accompanied by 2 interchangeable hand parts. Interesting. Allowing to recreate a variety of poses. Additionally, his pet alligator named Fiona comes with sharp teeth and armed skin, feeling real intimidation from Predator. The figure also comes with a unique base, simulating a war-torn ground and scattered bullet shells and debris, allowing you to recreate an authentic battlefield atmosphere right in your home. So yeah, doesn't actually go into detail as to the tail on Fiona. It could be a bit squidgy and malleable. But we'll have to wait and see on that one, I think. If I saw these on shelves, I'd buy them quick, but alas, I'll never get my hands on them. Yeah, the more realistic Croc shirt gives it that extra bit. Yeah, it's kind of cool, isn't it? You can get them via BBTS. No, Small Joe's now, I believe. So Small Joe's do a lot of the Hiya Toys kind of pre-orders now, and I think the other one was Cool Toys Club, I want to say. So yeah, you can try either of those out if you want to get in on these. But yeah, like I think we've only had a couple that have actually delivered, and yet there are about 15 out there now. Crazy pants. I have like 15 of these Hiya Toys on pre-order. No more ordering until they actually show up, says Chucky Tinderbin. Amazing. I'm not into collecting these smaller scale figures, but I really do love the color scheme they've been using. The colors are much more vibrant than we are getting from classified figures. Okay, interesting point, Will. Ray says, Black Genghis also knows another few places. Hit him up on his channel. He is awesome. He is, Ray, actually. Shout out to Black Genghis and A Toy Kind of Mood. Small Joe's is carrying higher. Jeremy, I just said that. Okay, cool. And more images show, yeah, more of the detail of this particular figure. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the kind of snake pattern on the shirt. Really like that. The color's definitely a little dirtier, a little more kind of wash used on the actual figure as well. Chris, is Hiya Toys doing vehicles? So Hiya have done and do vehicles for other lines, but I don't know if they're going to do it for G.I. Joe. It depends, I suppose, how successful these are. But you know, the fact that it's taken so long to just get any of them, you know, kind of orderable in the United States means that I don't know how successful it could be. It probably could be a lot more successful. I could see them doing like a cycle or something. I could see them doing that. A coil cycle, in actual fact, Chucky Tinderman. You're joking, I think, there, but I think that'd be kind of cool at this scale. And if they kind of, you know, judged it up a little bit in terms of the rather than make it one big plastic chunk of a piece, you could kind of break it up a little bit and have more details going on in there. Maybe a wash on something like that would look good too. Yeah, but I think the cycles would definitely could be done. A trouble bubble could probably be done, but I don't know if they are doing that, and they haven't really kind of communicated anything like that yet. Even in, I don't know, I haven't really seen anyone from Hiya ever interviewed or anything, but I'm sure they have been. The skin does have a bit of variance in it. Absolutely, it does look like that, doesn't it? 36 Cypher. I would love them to do vehicles. I've been asking if you thought they would make vehicles. Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Right. Yeah. If I think they would do it. Well, like they have, like I said, they've done vehicles, but it all really depends on how they feel the line is doing and how they feel that they can sell these figures. Because if they can't even sell Snake Eyes, Cobra Commander, etc., then why would they, you know, chuck a vehicle out there? Who knows though? Who's chuck a vehicle out there? See what I did there? Mark says the main reaction I've been seeing is saying basically, yeah, they are nice, or these are nice, but we have seen hundreds of reveals now and basically just in hand release releases. Yeah, not many have actually been delivered yet. I think I genuinely want to say it's Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Have we seen any others come in yet? I don't think we have, and we're about 15 deep now. I'm gonna have to do a proper count of these. Should I do it? I'll do it live because you love it when I kind of just stop talking for ages and have to focus on something else. But I can do this by looking at photos and going all the way back to Snake Eyes. 18 RKW beat me to it. I'm going to double check that RKW because that does sound right though. That's incredible, isn't it? So I mean, so many end of results. What? Facebook sucks. It really, really sucks. I'm gonna have to remember things now. Okay, so Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Cobra Commander, Firefly, Beachhead, Lady J. I stopped counting. Why did I stop counting? I've got to start again. Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Cobra Commander, Firefly, Beachhead, Lady J, 6, Major Blood, 7. Flint was before J, wasn't he? Yeah, so Flint 8, Destro 9. Wow. So many figures. Cobra Trooper 10. Zartan 11. Oh, no way there's been more than that. I think what's happened here. Oh, God's sake. Sorry, I'll get there eventually, guys. I was on the wrong photos section. Twins, Flint, yeah, ×2 actually. You got the Tiger Force Flint, haven't we? Okay, now I can do it, and I can do it properly. Jeez. Okay, count along with me when we do this. This is our fun little interactive thing, even though people already know exactly what figures there are and how many there are. But that isn't as fun then, is it? So, Snake Eyes 1, obviously. Then we have Storm Shadow at 2. Then we have we're getting there. Cobra Commander at 3. Sounds like it's one of those like TV chart shows, isn't it? At 3, Cobra Commander. At 4, we have. God, I've been scrolling a while. Was this that kind of lean period? Flint at 4. We have Firefly at 5. Fivefly. If I forget where I am, I can always find. Lady J at number 6. Keep going. Major Blood 7. Destro 8. It's like the next day. Baroness 9. Tiger Force Flint 10. Gung Ho 11. Cobra Trooper 12. Zartan 13. Spirit 14. Tomax 15. Zaymot 16. And then 17 Crocmaster. 17. 17. Have I missed one? I feel like I got them all there, and I've gone through their thing, their posts, their kind of official post. 17 figures. Hot diggity dumplings, guys, and they've delivered 2 with Cobra Commander coming. So what's the 18th one, or did I just miscount? What was the one I missed out? Do you know, guys, as I read them out? Because I'm pretty sure I covered them all. I must have just miscounted in that case. I'll count it again another time. What I'll do is I'll put like a whole, just go to the bloody Hiya website. That would have been a lot easier. I'll put like a graphic together on those as well and get them all on there. Who did I miss? I want to know who I missed out. I'm gonna go to the Hiya Toys website now. Everyone's just like, what happened to this show? It used to be good. And then they were like, hang on, no, it didn't used to be good. I don't know where I got that from. HiyaToys.com. Yeah, I don't think I missed anyone out, so I probably just missed, you know, whatever. G.I. Joe. Yeah, there's so many. I don't think I did miss any. That's a lot of figures, that, guys. That is a lot of figures. 2, 4, 6. 18 figures. Yeah, I just miscounted. That is crazy. That is crazy. And now we've got Cobra. I would say we've got the first animal figure and animal companion, but we don't. We have the first price point change for a figure and animal companion set, because Spirit and Freedom was the first figure and animal set, although it's not, because it's like, you know, because Freedom's a lot smaller, so Fiona kind of just jacks it up a little bit. How much are they? $34.99 for this one, because figure and animal, and I think $24.99 for the others. So you're paying an extra 10 bones for the Fiona figure. I do need a tech guy to be looking stuff up while I continue the show. But honestly, would it be as fun then, Chris? Probably not. Anyway, yes. So Cobra Crocmaster, to give him his full title, and Fiona. And we've got a couple of other shots as well, just to show a little bit more of the details on the figure. Again, I think he looks great. I think, you know, effectively they're taking the designs from the classified series. It's totally cool. They haven't shown the bit on the back though, have they? They haven't shown the tank. You can just about see it there, but you don't get like a proper full view of it on any of the images. I've just realized that. That is interesting, because that is a removable hose. It has to be. And yeah, so maybe a little bit more to come to see on that one. But anyway, cool figure. I'm kind of down for it. But then at the same time, you know, it's hard to get these. So I'm probably not going to get them. But I'm sort of very glad that Hiya Toys are continuing a 4-inch kind of line for people. Looks like the tail is kind of articulated. Oh, yeah, it does look like it's got brakes in it, doesn't it? 1, 2, maybe 3 at the base, possibly. But you definitely got like a little, almost like a little knuckle in there, and a couple of knuckles. So yeah, that's probably how they're doing that then with that figure, and that makes sense. Anybody know how these scale with modern Joes and Joy Toy figures? Hi, Adam. Yes, they're ever so slightly bigger than your kind of than your modern 4-inch figures. Probably enough to make a clear, significant difference between the two figures, I would say. It's not like a head different, but there's a slight size difference that does make them a little bit bigger than your regular 4-inch. And when they stood them next to when I've seen the comparison shot of Snake Eyes next to Snake Eyes, there's definitely been like there's definitely a clear difference. And it kind of, I'm not sure if it works with them together, but people have said that they still work together with their figures. Joy Toy are a bit smaller, aren't they? I want to say. I feel like Joy Toy have smaller figures, but I could be just basing that off like a couple of the female figures that I've seen from Joy Toy. Anyway, heard any news on Mezco Firefly? Not really heard any news at all on any of the Mezco stuff, other than I think, was it Storm Shadow came in quite recently for people, and apparently people going nuts over that figure. Apparently it's great. Anybody know how these? Yeah, I've done that one. Sorry, Adam. Chris, what happened to the Mezco G.I. Joe Black Jeep they were doing? That wasn't Mezco. That was Flame Toys, and it was a black ore striker. It was like their ninja kind of striker, wasn't it? And it's out. It's basically been and gone, but it's been out and is kind of, I would say, possibly available somewhere. Try you best bet like maybe BBTS might have one of those, or it might be out of stock. But as far as I'm aware, that was out and sort of kind of made its way a little bit to certain places, but no one really kind of jumped on it because even though it is scaled for those like larger Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow figure kind of kits, articulated figure kits, the classified figure doesn't comfortably fit in there, I don't think. When they had the motorcycles, I remember one of them somebody put a Duke on the motorcycle, and it looked hilarious because the motorcycle was much smaller. Sort of looked like the little kind of motorized battle kind of sets that they had. The little kind of that one they had Lightfoot on in the commercial. It might be Lightfoot. I can't remember who they had on it actually. Come to think of it, it was one. There was one character who was sitting on like the little kind of buggy, and it's just hilarious looking. That's kind of what Duke looked like on that. But that was Flame Toys. Can we talk about how much better Crocmaster's shoulders are than the twins? He must work out. Oh yeah, that's true. I wonder if there's going to be changes made on those twins' shoulders because it just looks so weird. Hiya has more articulation though. Double elbow, totally. Yep. Butterfly. Yep. Time's up for me. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye, Ryan. Thank you, mate. Chris, what happened to the meds? Oh, I've done that one. Firefly is shipping. Cool. You too. Oh, Mezco Firefly. Good. Oh, that's true. There is a Mezco Firefly review knocking about. That is true. Yeah. I can't remember who. Someone sent me one as well, like one saying, "Oh, this is the first one that's out." I haven't got around to watch it yet, but I will check that out afterwards. It is lovely weather today, Crown. They haven't produced a figure since Storm Shadow. It's nuts. They keep cranking out pre-orders for a line that hasn't produced a toy in a year. It is kind of crazy. Yeah, we did talk about that at the beginning. Cobra Commander is due soon though. Yeah, but that'll be like 3 of 18, which is mind blowing, isn't it? You'd think they'd have done at least like 4 and then 4. Like 4 would be out, with 4 pre-orders knocking about. At the moment, we're at 2 out, 1 on the way, and 15 pre-orders. Crazy pants. Right then, that's all that we can say on Hiya Toys. Next up then, and finally, the last story, or the last group of stories today, is about classified updates. Yeah, Pat didn't want to be on because obviously we're talking about Snake Eyes version 4. And also speculative listings information. So that's probably why Pat didn't really turn up today. Work my butt. Don't work my butt, please, Kitty said. Anyway, yes, so teases, leaks, and pre-orders. We'll start with teases. Of course, during the A Toy Kind of Mood interview, this kind of popped up after the fact, or noticed after the fact by me. Like everyone else had already talking about it, but I was late to the party again. Saw that Lenny had someone basically sent me. It was Chris and Travis actually were messaging me, and he'd noticed that Snake Eyes version 4 had cropped up in the shot in Lenny's hand. And effectively, this was a vintage figure. As you can see there, you can make out the kind of arm shape, the top of the left arm there. Very clearly a riveted, vintage figure shape. And also the size of it in his hands, you can tell it's a 4-inch figure, basically. But yeah, it was and is Lenny's childhood Snake Eyes version 4, which I confirmed with Lenny himself. So thanks, Lenny, for letting us know that. Here's just a few shots, very highly pixelated shots of the figure, just really kind of hinting and teasing at the possibility. Now, why would it be a hint and a tease, you may ask, if you're new to this channel, if you're new to you know, anything that has been done for the past few years with classified, which is possible, absolutely. The reason we feel like it's possibly not even like a tease, a purposeful tease, but I feel like when a designer has an action figure on their desk at close by, there's usually a reason for that. Usually, and it's not always just because people have cool stuff on their desk or what have you. When it's a designer specifically, if they have one at hand, it's usually because they're using it for reference. Okay. And that is something we've noticed in the past with Lenny when we did a roundtable with Hasbro a while ago, a long time ago, a couple of years now, I think. And while we were talking about the figures and design and all this kind of stuff, Lenny was like talking about, oh, well, let me grab an O-ring figure. And he picks an O-ring figure up, put it on the screen, and it was Python Patrol Copperhead. And straight away, everybody, and I was the same. I'm like, oh, we're getting Copperhead. We're getting Python Patrol as well. Because it was during that period of time where Target changed the theme and they were doing the Tiger Force and Python Patrol figures. So it was all very obviously that was at hand for a reason. And it turned out to be. And I even kind of like questioned Lenny about that later. And he said, yeah, he was using it for reference. But again, it's not always the case. And this could just be that he does have his childhood Snake Eyes version 4 because he loves this figure. It's his favorite Snake Eyes. Same. And he, like, I feel like he could have had it on his desk. I mean, we've got to talk about both things here. Yes, we can go nuts and read into every single detail and element on the screen, or it could just be the fact that, you know, it's his childhood figure, he loves it, and it's always near him, it's always on his desk kind of thing. Like, I get that. But at the same time, I do feel like it was almost like a hint tease without being so. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's something to it. And usually when I feel like there's something to it, is because there might be something to it. And Snake Eyes version 4 is a figure that I could see happening in the near future with the classified series, genuinely. Now, a lot of people have said it's just going to be a like, you know, if they do it, it'll just be a repaint of the was it the Alpha Commandos? It won't. I don't think if they're going to do it, I think they're going to do it with lots of new elements. Yes, there'll be reuse of some body parts. That makes sense. But I think we're going to get a lot of new aspects if they go ahead and do this Snake Eyes version 4. New head sculpt, all that kind of stuff. I could see new secondary at least. But you could definitely use some aspects of other. I mean, they've got a huge tooling library. There's no point. Why would they make unique figures every single time? It makes no sense. You build a library of parts, and then you start using those in their basic like builds, and then you cover it in secondaries to make it look like the figure that you need it to look like. It's simple, it makes sense. It's somehow not understood by everyone yet, but that is how it works. That's how you actually manage to make the amount of figures they're making and create a line that everyone is going absolutely underpant crazy for. I am anyway. So with that said, I think if a Snake Eyes version 4 was to happen, I believe it would have a lot of new aspects included in it. This Snake Eyes does take me back to my childhood, but it was later in the collecting sphere for me. But I do remember, actually, no, was it though? I think it was, hang on. When did I get this Snake Eyes? This Snake Eyes version 4, it would have been it was a trip to the US. So I got the US carded version. I got the US carded version because this was a 91, was it? I think this was 91. And yeah, we did have a trip to the US, and I 100% got this in the United States. So yeah, so and at the same kind of time when we came back to the UK, I remember that Hall of Fame Snake Eyes, like being. I remember getting. I got Stalker, the Hall of Fame Stalker, and because that was the only one that was available at the time. And when I turned it over, you got the cross sell, and on there was this Snake Eyes figure, and I wanted that Snake Eyes figure so bad. Never found him until later in life when I kind of stopped collecting toys, and it was too embarrassing for me to actually, you know, take something to the till to get to purchase it. So but I wanted that Snake Eyes version 4 Hall of Fame figure so bad, and it looked so cool, and it felt like, oh my god, you could like maybe take, you know, some of the mask off and see his face. There's all that kind of aspect to it. Same with Cobra Commander, like, oh, you can take the mask off, and then he's got another mask underneath just to really rub it in. But anyway, Ray says, my guess is the color on the figure would be somewhat muted and the weapon's actual weapon colors. Yeah, I'm sure that, I mean, that goes without saying, really, doesn't it? I'm sure they would do that. And of course, we've had Snake Eyes version 4 done very recently with 3-0, and that figure looked incredible. Yeah, I was really impressed with that. So if they did something like that in terms of muted colors, then yeah, I could see that. Oh, Tap is in the chat, and that's Pat in reverse, and he gave us a super chat. Thank you so much, Tap. We're finally getting the Paintball Force sub team line. Absolutely. And yeah, that's what we need. We need more paintball in there, don't we? Who else would be in the paintball team, sub team, guys? Let's go. Who else are we seeing in the Paintball Force sub team line joining Snake Eyes? Who you got? I'm not going to say any. I'm going to wait for you guys to chime in. Snake Eyes obviously leads that team. Hardball. I like that. That's pretty cool, Chucky Tinderbin. Also, that would be one hell of a paintball weapon he carries. Stanley says the Sonic Fighters. I can see it. Battle Force 2000. Good shout, past the Pierogi. Big Lob. Chucky. Yep. Barricade. Definitely Robert H. He is like armored up for it. There are a bunch of like figures that are full armor, like Ice Cream Soldier, Battle Armor Cobra Commander on the other side. Captain Gridiron's a good shout as well. Yeah, I like that. Sci-fi, a good shout. Yeah, again, eye protection. Anyone with eye protection, basically. I can see Recoil being in there. I don't know why he's on my mind at the moment, but he is. I don't know why Recoil is on the top of my head. Yeah, definitely sci-fi. Rampart, nice. That's another good one, actually. A bit of camouflage on there too. Low light, of obviously just hiding in the trees, basically. Anyway, thank you, Tap, for that. And you've probably started a completely new. Yeah, we have. It's gone crazy in the chat. Muskrat V3, V4 with the mask. I don't know which version it is, honestly. M price, but the one with the mask, yeah. The giant paintball cannon. Oh, that's Mace, isn't it? Who's got? Yeah, what is it? Muskrat have one where his helmet's connected to a launcher. Mega Marines, good shout. Dwight Schrute, nice one, Sammy. Hit and Run, yeah, that would be a good one. Blowtorch 49 O'Brien with just a paint sprayer. It would be, wouldn't it? With flames that come out as well. Yeah, I'd be all Walgreens exclusive Paintball Force redecos. There you go. Anyway, that you can keep them coming, but Heavy Duty is a good one with his desk paintball gun, his paintball machine. Is that what that would be? All the Eco Warriors, 100%. Yeah, so there you go. Snake Eyes version 4. I'm again a bit of a hint and a tease. Then we got a classified Nemesis Immortal head sculpt leak. We also got a leg leak. But it's all watermarked, so I can't really, kind of show it and actually look at it. But we've got some Nemesis Immortal bits and pieces, courtesy of Laser Pants 81, and these head sculpts look amazing. So this is Nemesis Enforcer, the deluxe figure, and obviously we've known about this for a while. It's been on the listings for a while, and when we kind of like trying to gauge, what we're going to be getting here. As a deluxe figure, it's pretty safe to assume we're going to get these two heads are going to come with that figure. I know a lot of people were kind of saying, well, maybe it's for a retro release. And look at what happened very recently as an example. We got Night Creeper and Night Creeper version 2 heads pop up at the same time. And everyone was kind of saying, oh, are we getting version 2 straight after version 1 and all this kind of stuff? And it was like, it's more likely we're getting those two heads with the one figure. But we didn't know until obviously they released it, and lo and behold, we had the version 2 head in with the version 1 figure. And yeah, that was it really, pretty much. So same kind of situation here. We've got like a more updated, kind of like classified-esque, more kind of frilly sort of design head for Nemesis Enforcer here. And we also have your classic Nemesis Enforcer style from the cartoon, animated film, comics, etc., etc. Yeah, so I would say that you're going to get both these heads, and this one I've got to say is it's one of those things where it's like it's jarring at first because you're like, oh, it's different and it's weird and it's cool, but there's a lot of cool textures going on here. The ridges are very Cobra La. The kind of bone structure mohawk thing is pretty dope. There's a lot to really enjoy about this one, and I think with deco as well, I think there's going to be some crazy, crazy cool stuff on here. So yeah, that's really awesome. And then of course we've got this head as well. Again, I like the textures they're using on this, on the kind of like, even though we know it's a mask, I still kind of in my head I'm kind of feeling like I wonder if he was born that way and his head has got this like little bit of snake skin flappage on it. Anyway, so yeah, really cool stuff. And again, I'm liking the head sculpt on this. I think he looks awesome. Both kind of versions look really nice, and I'm excited to see what the full figure looks like, honestly. Yeah, and in terms of the leg, you could see that there was kind of like almost like that kind of ridged aspect on the kind of shin guard. So there's some interesting things going on, like with that figure, and I think he's going to look phenomenal, honestly. Anyway, yeah. What else we got? So yeah, Nemesis Immortal. The kind of the I would say that one of the interesting things I'm kind of waiting to see on this one is what deco we kind of go with, and obviously the multiple different types of Nemesis Enforcer along the way. We've had obviously the animated film, we've had the action figure artwork, the action figure itself, all three of which are completely different in terms of the tones and the colors that are used. Those could change 100%. And then you get the kind of like 25th comic pack version, which also has a sort of like it's way closer to the original animated kind of model. But again, there are differences, like the knee pads not being red and so on and so forth. So that is another interesting aspect to kind of take into consideration. In terms of the wings, do we get the kind of more big curved animated style, kind of like almost like Venger sort of? I know he had half a wing, but like kind of like that there's a lot of Venger about him, I think. Who came first? I think it was Venger, wasn't it? It'd be interesting to know, but they do share a lot of similarities, I feel, him and Venger, in the kind of bad guy vibe. And yeah, it was weird with Venger because he had a wing, his horse didn't, and yet he flew. So he must have been gripping that horse round the waist so tight to lift him off the ground. Has anyone ever thought about this? I thought about this many times. Does he like proper pinch him in hard, or is it just kind of magic and he's flying and carrying them both, and it doesn't have to do the pinchy thing? I just feel like he really has to like lock in, get his feet underneath the tummy of the horse, and then he's got to flap one wing and somehow fly comfortably. What am I even talking about? I'm talking about Venger from Dungeons and Dragons. Does no one know what I'm talking about? Totally fair. I'll move on then. Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to get the kind of more curved animated style, or if we're going to get the kind of more toy based one. And obviously the other one are the kind of like long aspect wings, or the kind of wide wings that you get with the 25th figure. I think, I mean, any kind of wings will work, but I think they're going to have to go with that kind of sinewy, sort of bat-like sort of wing, I think. Venger had really strong legs. He must have done. Electromagnetic magnet grips as feeder. That's true. Chris, you just ruined my childhood watching Dungeons and Dragons cartoons. Sorry, 36 Cypher. I'm always fascinated by fans who like Motu but hate Cobra La, says RKW. It's about crossing the streams, I think, with them. I think it's that, because even I, when I was a kid, I did struggle mixing some of my toys together and kind of like having like big battles with everything involved. I just couldn't do it. My turtles were turtles, Thundercats were over there, Masters of the Universe were there, GI Joe was its own thing. I couldn't. I didn't mix and match things necessarily. Who's Duncan Dragon, mate? That's amazing, Mark. Who's Duncan and Dragons? Brilliant. Um, brilliant. So yeah, like I never could cross the streams in that sense, and I think that's what people have an issue with when the sci-fi aspects and the fantasy aspects come into GI Joe. That's what I just assume is happening. There's the Angel Marvel Legends figure with wings. There is. I mean, there's lots of figures with wings. There's Venom now with probably, wings that would probably look a little bit more like what you're expecting. I'm going to vote that he ends up like the comic with the bat wings. Okay, cool. I know Wenger with one horn in his head thinks he was based off a bad guy in the movie Time Bandits. Oh yeah, that's true. I used to love Time Bandits. Thank you, Master Sun 42. I'm gonna have to dig into that bit of info, because that sounds really interesting. It was magic to lift the horse. You'd have to roll a 6 or higher to do the pinching. Nice one, Emprise. Highly articulated. It says Wenger wore the skirt because his legs were bowed from carrying his horse around. Okay, that's made it even worse now in my head. If it's like the comic, it looks like the wings will be purple too. Well, that isn't a comic. That's the card art. Is he going to be around Spentor's height or taller? Says B. He's going to be taller than Spentor. I don't think he's going to be super huge. I mean, he's going to be huge, but I don't think he's going to be so big it doesn't make sense for the line. Can you cross your stream on your dinner plate? Mix your food. Yeah, I can. I like having multiple different things on the fork that are different flavors that go in my mouth at one time. And if you know me, anything about me, you know that I eat very quickly. Like I not like in a, not like that, but like I take big bites, and it doesn't take me very long to eat my dinner. People have actually commented on that the other day. We were having pizza. No word of a lie. I had a large pizza to myself. Okay, I'm a growing lad. At 40. What year is it? And it, fairly decent sized pizza. Large, and I had finished it in the time that my other friend was starting his third slice of his also large pizza that he didn't finish anywhere close. I literally eat it like this. I take the slice, I bend it I kind of crease it at the crust, right? So I kind of fold it over. I then it goes as far as it can go in. I bite and swallow that almost instantly, and, and then I'm left with just that little bit at the end, and it's like 1, 2, 3, and then that's gone, and then I do the same to the next one. Next one. Next one. That's just how I eat. It's mental, but now I'm really hungry as well. What the hell is going on? Says Jeffrey. I know what happened. All of a sudden, now I'm talking about pizza. I can't even remember what. I don't even remember what that even. Oh, mixing the stream, crossing the streams. Yeah. Could you mix your food? Yes, I can. I don't have a problem with that. Oh, you meant the Cobra Commander comic, Pastor Pierogi. I see what you're saying. That makes more sense. Yes. Maybe it could be. It could be that way. And they have said that what we're seeing in the comics isn't necessarily what we're going to be seeing in the classified line necessarily. In some cases, they're taking, they're just taking the reference that they have at hand and putting it in the comics. The classified figures might vary slightly. The ones that are coming out later that they didn't have the reference for might be slightly different. Yes, a whole pizza. I really wish they made a modern non-sci-fi nemesis. Modern non-sci-fi nemesis. Give us a Goldilocks, give us an idea of what that would be, because that's quite interesting take. Take us through what you would like to see, you know, uh, visually on that, on a figure like that. Just make us all hungry, why don't you? Sorry, Jeffrey. Probably thin crust. It was 49 O'Brien, yeah. But I mean, you can challenge me, but I'd probably do a deep dish where I can eat. I can put it away clearly. Um, Chris, you're an animal. Yes, I am. He really needs to be 7 inches tall since he was so tall in the cartoon. Master Sun 42. Yeah, he'll be probably around that size. He'll be bigger than Serpentor, and that would make him bigger than every other figure in the line because Serpentor is pretty large. Food versus GI Joe. Who knew? Indeed. I'll draw it. Okay, Baldy, let's do that. That's great. G5 again this night. See if you can catch the Aurora Borealis again in the UK. That's pretty cool, Pedro. A friend of mine sent me a picture yesterday of some of it coming through in like Norwich, where I'm from, and that was pretty cool. They were seeing quite a lot of it as well, and we even had like in certain parts of the US there was like a nice kind of glow going on, like a nice kind of almost like purpley kind of haze, which was interesting as well. Food, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. What's next? Dogs and cats getting together. Chris, weren't you going to start a Joe cooking show? We were, but it's kind of not really. It made sense in our previous place, but it doesn't make as much sense now because I'm like I've this studio set up here, and the kitchen is up there, so we'd have to kind of organize some. It would be a pain. But we do want to do something like that. It'd be kind of fun to do kind of nerdy dishes, and recreate them. We were able to see the lights last night in Wisconsin. That's cool. Anyway, Aurora Borealis is clearly the spores breaking up in the sky, guys, isn't it? Let's face it. Now, the last and final thing to talk about is this pre-order Entertainment Earth pre-order drop zone appearance that popped up the other day. Now, Tuesday, June the 4th, 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 1 p.m. Eastern, is the pre-order drop for what is very likely going to be something G.I. Joe related. We're talking June, so it's Yojo June time. It's early in the month, much like last year with the I think they even revealed the HasLab on that one now, that thanks to David Allen for sending me that link the other day. I was kind of talking about it on the previous episode, and I was trying to kind of work out when they kind of promoted that particular episode, or like when they announced that they were going to do that episode. And it was on the 1st of June they revealed they were doing the event, and I think it was the 5th of June, and it was that it had the HasLab reveal on it, or it had like HasLab discussion or whatever it was. So that was kind of cool. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the same thing this year, but it's very likely that we will have some aspect of pre-orders at the start of the month. Who knows if we get all right, this is something that I don't think a lot of people have talked about, but we have the Star Wars one, and they're talking about that being delayed. Is it likely that the Joe team are just going earlier? Could be. Don't forget O-Ring Ghostbusters a few days later. Yeah, 8th of June. Yeah. I mean, yeah, totally. What was I talking about? Yeah, so it could be that they're going to go. They might reveal the HasLab at the start of the month. You never know, or they wait till the end of the month, or they wait to July, or we don't get another one ever again because we don't deserve nice things. Hiss launched 29th, Dragonfly launched the 5th. Yeah, it was the 5th, wasn't it? So this is very. It could be the 29th again, couldn't it? They could just be pushing it to the end of the month, which is totally fine. And like I said, I think this will be a pre-order drop, and then you can speculate as much as you like of what we know is coming. And of course, we know that from the leaked listings of 2024, we've got that standard retail wave of 4, which is probably quite high on the agenda for the month. Might not necessarily happen at the first event. You could, it could just be like exclusive related stuff. It could be things like that. Yeah, so we could you know, it could be later in the month that we see Alpine, Iron Grenadier, Bat, Iron Grenadiers, and another. Not going to reveal that, and I'm just not going to slip up. I'm not going to slip up. And then there's a possibility, the fact we've been seeing Nemesis Immortal bits and pieces, we could see that deluxe figure. It could be Fred that's up next, and we could see what Fred Deluxe is, even though we have no idea who that is. Road Pig and his animal companion could be involved, you know, as well. Like in much the same way that we've seen the 4-figure wave with a figure pet, a deluxe figure, and maybe a figure vehicle in the past, and in some cases a whole wave of retro figures, 3 and 60th. So I mean, you're talking there, what, 12? I mean, they could. I feel they're going to spread those out over the month. If it's going to be 12, they'll spread them out. Drop a HasLab in there, and Bob's your uncle. So if they're looking at it from the month perspective, you've got 12 possible pre-orders, and more actually, but you've got 12 very highly likely possible pre-orders. You've got a HasLab reveal. You've got a HasLab update for the Dragonfly. There is a lot of stuff they can do and kind of squeeze into this month that I think they're going to do. So yeah, that's that. What am I expecting? Not a clue. HasLab wise, don't even know if they're going to reveal it in June. I assume they will reveal a HasLab because it seems to be on every, you know, they talk about it, they interview about it a lot. It's never a case of, you know, they're not saying there's not going to be one, so you just have to assume there will be one. And it's been, yeah, it's been a year, so here we go. The Rattler seems to be the hottest. That seems to be the one that everyone expects, and I don't know if it's just because we've had a bit of hints, and you know, it's not like he's had a Rattler on his desk for reference, but like, you know, we've had certain things said in interviews. We've had certain things kind of almost like semi-directed, like we've always been kind of moved into a, you know, well, we like doing the planes because they can be, you know, displayed at an angle and take up less, you know, horizontal space, depth space, and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, someone's, you know, being very specific about this. And usually when they get specific as well, it's because, you know, they've probably done a lot of development in that kind of arena. You know, like Lenny has costed out a lot of things in the past to see what they would be like, but in some cases that's where it stops, and that's all the kind of talk you get about it. When you get more talk after the fact and more questions about it that aren't like kind of necessarily shot down, no pun intended, then you get like an idea of, oh, maybe they're going in this direction. I think that's what the entire fandom is leaning towards, the Rattler, because that seems to be the one that we're being directed to almost. All I would say is it's been a bit of a shame that we haven't had the same kind of marketing build up that we had with the Dragonfly and the Hiss Tank. It would have been nice to get a few of those, like, you know, cutesy little hints and teases, and we might still do. What they might end up doing through the month of June is revealing those throughout the month, like little teasers. Excuse me, little teasers throughout the month that then, you know, the end of the month, boom, HasLab. That'd be really cool. In any case, it's hard to say what we're going to get on the 4th until, you know, we get the leaked information of what to expect for pre-orders. Yeah. So yeah. Oh god, could you? I was just thinking about how big the Rattler would be. Finally, just got around to thinking about it in my head, and it would be like, it would have to be like, you can't see, you can't really show you because my hands have gone past the image of what you can see on screen, but it would have to be pretty big. Like, even though it is a shorter, stubbier sort of kind of size, thing's going to be massive. Absolutely hossing massive, and I'm here for it, genuinely. Now that we've got a bit more space in the basement, yeah, I'll get in it. If it's a 1-to-1 scale, I'm there. A Rattler would be engineered to remove the wings for shelf display. It would look a bit weird without wings, though, wouldn't it? Spill your beans, Chris. You know something. I know many things, but can't can't spill them, unfortunately. I wonder if the wings would fold up too for space. They could do, actually. You could have like a little kind of break point that where they kind of just go up like that, like in the wings, like a little hinge, like straight up in the air. That would be kind of cool. Could the Rattler be a dangler? It might have to be. Smaller than the Big Falcon. Would it be? Didn't they say the Sky Striker would be 5 foot? So Rattler maybe 3.5 feet. I'll have to. He did specify a size in the last interview, but yeah. Where's Pat for this party? He left for good reason. No, he's had to go to work today, unfortunately. So well, yeah, I had to go solo. Right, that's pretty much it though for speculative, because again, that's all we know that could be coming on the horizon. Kitty said. And I forgot to do the highlight because I did a highlight thing before. 2025, no changes, or we kind of everything we already know that we've gone over multiple times. Hopefully be able to unlock a few more of those in the near future, because there will be name only reveals, there will be digital render reveals and stuff like that that I'm sure we'll get on in during the month as well. Very excited. I think June's going to be kind of non-stop. I think it's going to be impressive. I think it's going to be moving at 100 miles an hour, and everyone's just going to be like, well, it's your own fault, because every time they did something that was like ever so slightly, had the brakes on it, it was like, no, we need more. We need something every day. It's like, what? So yeah, I think this new maneuver of it's going to be daily news. I think, Stanley. I think we're going to be doing daily news over Yojo June. It's going to be crazy. I might be pulling 2-a-days. Do you know remember when that happened? I was doing 2-a-days for I think that was last year, actually. It was around June, July, around that time when we had Yojo June. SDCC seemed to be even more around that month. It was like twice a day. So I remember doing on one of the days I did an Patreon Intel episode. I did a news burst. I then did another news burst following that. And then I was editing another episode that went out that wasn't live, but it was like an interview. All in one day. We had about 4 videos. It was nuts. The Full Force Breakfast Show is what I was doing for a while, Mark. It might be possible. It might have to happen, actually. Don't we already do daily news? Kind of, yeah. There'll be weekly streams, Stan. I think, as in from Hasbro. I think what they'll do is they'll probably do like an event video, then like a pre-recorded, maybe like an Instagram kind of live and stuff like that. That's what we've seen in the past. They kind of break up into different sorts of things. And then sometimes they're not even like a video accompaniment. It'll just be like a drop, like a pre-order drop that has like some, social kind of posts and stuff like that. So it might not be weekly streams, but I think they'll do like significant things each week is what I expect. Thanks for all the awesome coverage, Chris. You're welcome. Chris, are you going to be skip sleeping the whole month of June? I'm going to have to. My folks are going to be here as well, so they might have to jump on the one or two of the streams. We'll get Mom and Dad McLeod on. They'll love that. So the DFTs is started 4 weeks prior to reveal in May. Yes, the Dragonfly they did. So we're probably not going to get that same. We're probably not going to get that same sort of marketing build up. Son, you have to move out so I have more room for my toys. I don't have any kids, so it's easier for me. Anyway, that is sort of, I'm not going to go into what we usually do now, which is the breakdown of what we know so far. So I'm going to do it quickly. Name only reveals. That's what we know so far. I'm still working on Blooming Blowtorch. It's taken ages because it's there's like loads of international releases that need their highlighting graphics and what have you. I'll get there eventually. Maybe I can try and rinse that out this weekend. We'll see. Digital renders, of course, we've still got Night Force Ripcord Glenda and Night Force Crazy Legs. We still got to see these. Still got to see these. And obviously June is going to bring about way more digital renders to get involved with and add to this graphic. The name only reveals is going to increase as well. Hopefully, some of the name only reveals here will be digital renders to go in here, and we'll make some space in both places. And yeah, we need some. I just need a dragonfly update. I need that dragonfly in my possession so bad. I can't wait. Genuinely, I'm more excited for the dragonfly than the Hiss tank, and the Hiss tank was phenomenal. And I didn't think I could get more excited than I was for getting the Hiss tank. As soon as the dragonfly was revealed, I was like, oh, I can, that's it. We've reached the pinnacle. We're done. The only way it could get any better is if it was the tiger fly, and I mean that. No, my in-laws were here last week, Stanley. My biological parents are coming from the United Kingdom in June to stay with Kate and myself. But yeah, it was Kate's mum and dad that came to visit us last weekend, which was great, and we'll talk about that in the shout outs very shortly. And of course, your unofficial leaks, which are pretty much unchanged as of right now. Right then, that's it for the news. Let's get into shout-outs, which still sort of has more news in it, so don't go anywhere.
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
Anyway, yes, shout outs. So first off, obviously, Pat for not being here. Shout out to Pat. Where are you, mate? Get back here next week, please. And also to Phil of Articulated Points fame. Articulated Points? Yeah, that's right. So there are so many different YouTube channels with similar names that I forget the names of them. Yes, Articulated Points. Go check them out in the links, comment in the links below in the description. And yeah, go sub to them, go watch their videos. They're great. And also, I think Phil did a recent, he did a Harley Quinn figures episode recently. There was it's not always G.I. Joe. There was a really good X-Men one that I loved. That was so good, like Danger Room and all that kind of stuff. Go check that out. That's really good. Also, how good is X-Men 97? Oh my goodness. That is probably the best animated series of all time right now. I have just been blown away. I was a huge fan of the original X-Men animated series, right? Massive fan of that. And I've been a big fan, genuinely, of a lot of the Marvel-related cartoons. Like the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes was one that I used to love. Used to. It wasn't that old, but that one was an absolute belter. Like the Wolverine and the X-Men, and all of those kind of animated series I've always been really into. I love Marvel when they start crossing over all the time and you see characters and all sorts of things. I really enjoy that. So I used to love it in X-Men when you'd see a character that you didn't normally see and they'd show up. And X-Men 97, oh my god. I was in tears after episode 5. I didn't think it would get any more intense than that. And then this last episode, I was just like, I don't know. I was just like, wow. Especially, I didn't think they would go. Well, it's cool because it's like it's almost like catching up with some of the comic stories that came after the animated series and tying some of those in and doing them slightly differently. But I'm not going to give anything away, but there's an absolute scene at the end of the last episode. And oh my god. Anyway, massive shout out to Pat, Phil, and X-Men 97, which has nothing to do technically with Pat and Phil, but big shout out to you guys. Also to my wonderful wife, Kate, and our little dog, Phoebes, and of course, all our wonderful family. We had, like I said, the in-laws came to stay last weekend and stayed until Tuesday. So we had a nice 4-day break with them, and it was great. It was really nice to kind of just hang out we seem to eat so much food. It's awesome. Like, I love it. Like, are we going out for breakfast? Great. Are we going out for lunch? Great. Are we going out for dinner? Amazing. So I'm down for it. But we don't usually eat that much. It's like one of those things where it's just because you're on kind of vacation, it just became like the thing to do. It was a nice like kind of thing to like aim for the day. It's like, oh, we've got this nice stuff kind of planned. So yeah, we got to try out loads of cool, nice local restaurants and stuff. Because that's another thing. Our local area is amazing. Like, you go around the corner, it's a beautiful. We're on near the water as well, so we're right on the water. We have this beautiful park, and then like this amazing little village that's got like all these great little restaurants and like kind of it's really cute as well. So we usually go to the same kind of Thai restaurant quite often. It's amazing. They do Thai and sushi, and like Korean sushi basically, and it's unbelievable. And we absolutely like just go nuts there every now and again. And we kind of like got used to just going to there all the time. So while the folks were here, we kind of tried a few different things, and it was awesome. Like all these little places, like little breakfast places, little bagel places, little. There's a crepe corner, which is amazing. Honestly, so many awesome little places, and we just we went kind of crazy, and everywhere we went was just really, really nice, beautiful views, really nice service, really, really quality kind of food. So we loved it. So now we've kind of unlocked a lot of the local kind of places. Now we can expand a little bit rather than going to the same place each time, although we probably will. We're still going to the Thai and sushi place. It's so good. Anyway, massive shout out to Kenton Valley for coming to hang with us, and Phoebe loved it. She was getting so many snuggles, it was beyond belief. So massive shout out to them. And it is Mother's Day tomorrow in the United States, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow. I'll be saying Happy Mother's Day tomorrow. So here's a pre Happy Mother's Day scenario to everybody. And yeah, so that's awesome. Now, also, like I said, in June we've got the folks coming from the UK, so they're going to stay with us for a bit. So we're probably going to do the same thing. It's going to be food crazy. And yeah, mom and dad can do the tech stuff on the side. They can search all the websites while I'm doing the show. That I'll put them to work. Don't you worry. Amazing. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that is that. Also, massive shout out to Brian Sauer for our amazing graphics. We've got a very fun thing planned coming up for Brian, and assembly required. Although technically, what we're doing is planned for Operation Armor, which is not the in-person event, which is what this is. Assembly required 13th annual in-person Iowa GI Joe convention in Des Moines, and that will be happening in 8th and 9th of November this year. So more information, more details will be coming soon. Probably I would imagine might be revealed or released in and around Operation Armor, which here we go, Operation Armor 4, which is just around the corner as well. And lots of cool stuff planned for this one. There's been a lot of, oh, sorry, I just missed. Thank you so much to Peppermint Oil Capsule for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And a new Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship episode coming soon. Go check out the Slaughterhouse YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Peppermint Oil Capsule. We really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Right. Yeah, I'm not going to say that, Adam, but you're right. You're like, as soon as that happened, I kind of had a feeling as well. And especially in actual fact, when the two of them were very close together, I was like, oh, it's going to happen. But anyway, that's by the by. So Operation Armor is the online event for assembly required. It means assembly required mobile mass online rally, I think it means, or maybe it is mobile. No, I think it's mass online rally. So they have had a bunch of kind of updates to what they're doing for the show, and we have the Cell Pop kind of card backs, which they're doing. Obviously, Eco Warriors is the theme this year. So we've got Flint, Clean Sweep, Ozone, is that Deep Six as well, Toxo Viper version 2, Cesspool, etc., etc. some very cool. Yeah, it was Deep Six. No, it isn't Deep Six. It's Bloomin'. Who is that? Oh, it is Deep Six. Sorry, my bad. It's just I got thrown there because obviously you can see the face in this in the what do you call it, in the cross cell on there, but it's not on the one on the left. So obviously there's a bit more work to be done on some of these, but amazing looking, beautiful cell pop card backs that they do. I love these. They're also got the t-shirt, which is awesome. The International Brotherhood of Toxo Lab Workers. They do a lot of these kind of funny, like, homages to, things in and around the GI Joe kind of like um sort of, you know what I'm saying, like the history of it and everything. So United members of the Leaky Suit Brigade, again, that's something that has been synonymous with the Toxo Vipers. And just what was it, it was the Toxo Viper, wasn't the Leaky Suit Brigade. Efficiency, expediency, exposure, love that. So that's really fun. A nice little kind of t-shirt as well to go along with the gear kits that they're doing. Order of Battle with Vinny D'Oliva as well, so that's really cool. So ex Hasbro, Vinny D'Oliva will be there, or will be doing a special thing for Armor. Let me just quickly get all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of the information at hand as well. So now who knows a thing or two about being dropped in the bucket? Cesspool. And for Armor 4, Jason Morrell from the Order of Battle will interview the man whose face inspired the Cesspool head sculpt, Vinny D'Oliva, former G.I. Joe brand manager with Hasbro. Join us for the panel and more when Armor 4 drops online June the 1st, which is awesome. And yeah, the T-shirt I was talking about beforehand, we can read that out as well. Show you've paid your dues, and we're not talking the union kind, by proclaiming your status as a member of the Leaky Suit Brigade. Inspired by the Toxo Viper's inevitable and unenviable career path, this navy blue T-shirt is available as part of the Armor 4 gear kit, sold separately. And you can get that at codenameiowa.com/store. Link for Codename Iowa is in the description as well. And what we talk, the Cell Pop card back collection as well. Let's go back to that quickly. So add to your Cell Pop card back collection with this all new set featuring 9 figures from the Eco Warriors line in all their 90s neon glory, available as part of the Armor 4 gear kit or sold separately. Pre-order by May 19th at codenameiowa.com/store. There you go. And and this is the last one. This is fun. So prepare for your next shift moving sludge with this 14x21 ARBCO Toxo Lab safety poster. Knowing the protocols is the best way to stay mostly out of harm's way. Again, available in the gear kit or sold separately. Pre-order by May 19th at codenameiowa.com/store. So amazing stuff. And I love that. I love the stuff that Brian does for the show, all of the kind of paperwork and the prints and all of the artwork and everything is always top like level and amazing stuff. So really excited for what is in that gear kit. We should do an unboxing at some point. I'll reach out to him and see if we can do that. But that's amazing. Next up, we have Will Mugnio. I always get his name wrong, sorry. Mugnio, who has posted his storyboard for Worlds Without End Part 1, which has got this little scene in it where they're talking, obviously the Joes are talking about, with Steeler, who's on the hill in the mauler over the radio, about like how life sucks, basically. And Steeler's kind of all miserable about it, and they're trying to kind of like cheer him up, and then all of a sudden the gliders come into play and they've got bogeys. That's what he says, isn't it? Bogeys coming up fast. So anyway, love seeing these amazing little storyboards from the original Sunbow cartoon, and of course, especially from one of my favorite ever episodes. So amazing stuff. So yeah, link in the description. Actually, we've got a link on our page for that, but there is a link in the description to this storyboard and Will's information on it as well, which is really cool. As well as that, we've got the Kickley segment, of course, as per. He dropped a couple of cheeky crossover pieces as well, Hound and Scarlet, and Starscream and Baroness, which I thought was really cool. Really like these again, and it's always great to see Kickley doing G.I. Joe stuff, and even love the fact he's doing these little crossover ones as well. They're great. So massive shout out to Kickley. Go check him out on all of his socials. Yeah, love it. And that is it. It's been a 2-hour episode somehow, and I can only blame myself for just gas bagging the entire time. Hopefully Pat will be with us next week. Again, it was out of the blue. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today because of work. So hopefully going forward, we can sort that out. Anyway, guys, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you to all of you guys in the chat, all of you guys that support us, all of you guys that sub and all that kind of stuff. We really, really appreciate it. And massive thank you to everyone that's thrown in not just comments, but also the super chats as well. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, we will see you on the next one. We'll probably, unless it's some sort of news-based kind of thing, might be the Let's Talk Classified Blowtorch. If I can pull my finger out and actually get that done, fingers crossed I can. Fingers crossed, and then I'll pull my finger out. Anyway, have a great rest of your weekend. If I don't see you until, I don't know, Monday or whatever. And stay fresh, cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do. I'm getting a bit premature here with the card. 1, 2, 3, full force. Laters.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well, @TheFullForce Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.